Oh, come on, what are we doing? Come on, we're traveling up to the Great White North. We can't have it this warm in here. Everyone's got to get acclimated. You guys that are going got to get acclimated too. I wanted to give some injury updates before you guys, we got a few injury updates. So let's start with some good news. We were able to open up Chris Olave's 21-day window today. He got some great news. He had some went for a recheck like we had talked about, and he was cleared for football activity. So I am super, super happy for Chris. It's great news for him. And so he resumed practice today. We're going to, he was limited today. We're going to just kind of, obviously he had significant time off, so we're going to kind of take it step by step with him. But I couldn't be happier for him and more as a person than a football player. Really, really excited about him. He was in a great mood today, all smiles. And for those that were out there, probably saw him running around. That's great. The situation with Alvin right now, it was probably a little bit more significant than we initially thought. So, he's going to be week to week at the moment. I'm going to be honest, doesn't look great for this week. We'll see what the next day brings. But that doesn't look great at the moment for this coming week. But we'll see if that's going to be a multiple week. We'll kind of play that one by ear, whether that's going to be multiple weeks but right now he doesn't look great for this week. As far as the quarterback situation goes, let me say this. I have had multiple conversations with Derek. Apparently there's been a bunch of things written the last few days. Here's the situation with Derek. Derek Carr wants to play this season. He wants to come back and play this season. There's absolutely zero doubt about that. He's in here every day doing everything that he possibly can from a rehab standpoint to get himself back on the field. There's absolutely, like I said, zero doubt about that. He had actually his best day today. I appreciate and respect the fact that he wants to come back and play, and so therefore that's why this thing's day to day. We're not going to put him in harm's way. We're going to make sure that he's able to go out there and function, and that's really what it comes down to right now. When he can fully function and go out there and function all the duties as a quarterback, he'll be back on the field. But apparently there was some reports out there about him being done for the season and things like that. If he was done for the season, we would have put him on IR by now, and we would have shut him down. That's just not the case. And so he's working his tail off every day. He's frustrated by some of the reports. Quite frankly, we've had multiple conversations about it, and he's in here every day. And like I said, he had one of his best days today. So as soon as he's able to function, and as soon as he's able to go out there and get some functionality back in his hand, we'll do that. Right now, the concussion is not an issue. He just has to go out there and get one practice in to clear the final concussion protocol. If Derek's unable to play this week, Spencer Rattler will be the starting quarterback for us. Obviously, he gave us a spark this past game in the second half. Had a real good practice day today, so that's where we are with him. And then, Marcus MVS, we held him out today. He probably could have gone. We wanted to give him one extra day. He should be back out there tomorrow, at least in a limited capacity. And then so that's kind of an update on all the injuries. So.
With Derek, I don't want you to put a number or an odds on it. What has to be done for him to potentially be able to play this week? Is that a realistic possibility?
Well, the good news is he had a really good day today. I think he's got to put a couple of good days in a row tomorrow, or a couple of good days in a row. As I said to you guys in the beginning of the week with the extra day, we were kind of hoping that he would get some significant improvement. I would say he's going to have to, by Saturday, probably have to get a practice in order to do that. It's been significant time now. He's been down. So we would want to see him get out there and practice and go through all the, functions, like I said before, as a quarterback. So, but again, when you guys asked me the other day, or somebody asked me if it was a reach that he was going to play again this season. And by no means is it a reach that he'll be back out there at some point.
Rich, how challenging is it for you guys when, you can stand up here and do a 3-minute injury update, going into the week? I mean, there's a lot of stuff to kind of overcome. Like, what's the challenge for you guys right now?
Yeah, I think you guys got a pretty good beat on my personality by now. I try not to make any excuses with the injuries. We've had a bunch of guys, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, miss significant time this year. And the message all along has been, no excuses and accountability and just doing your job. Listen, the message I just gave to the team before we came in here was there's nobody stopping you from having your best performance of your lifetime except you, meaning the player, and putting it back on the players. So whoever that is, whether that's the quarterback or whether it's the running backs or whether it's the receivers, whatever position it is. And so, to answer your question directly, Nick, I just try not to make any excuses about it. We have the players that we have. Everybody across the league right now is dealing with injuries, some more than others. And I think the best teams in the league are the teams that are able to overcome those, regardless of the position. So It's really how we've been approaching it.
Yeah, and just because it's happened in other situations, including Derek with the Raiders, there's always the conversation about injury guarantees when it comes to the quarterback. Is that not going to enter into the conversation?
Well, this is somebody else asked me about that, and here's my answer to that. If the organization, and I'm not speaking for Mickey or Mrs. Benson, but if the organization was concerned about that, the easy thing to do would have been to shelve him for the year, put him in an IR, let him get healthy, let him pass the physical. So I don't see that as a. I know that's been talked about. I certainly am not the salary cap guy or the contract guy. I'm a coach, but at the same time, I understand that plays into it, and I understand that that's happened in Derek's past. The fact that he wants to come back, the fact that he's not on IR, I think kind of answers those questions. In my opinion, answers those questions that's not an issue at the moment.
With Alvin, is there any chance he'd have to have surgery, or?
Yeah, like I said, it ended up being, initially a little, he's kind of feeling it during the game a little bit. It was a little bit minor in the beginning, and then I actually think on the touchdown, the phenomenal touchdown catch that he made, I think he felt it a little bit more. The initial tests were it wasn't really going to be that bad, and then it's just a little bit more significant, so a little bit more missed time. So I think with the type of injury that he has, there's multiple opinions. There's different ways you can handle it. It can heal. So he's going to kind of, all of us, medical staff, Alvin, everyone's going to just kind of take a deep breath here and kind of see what the best option is for him moving forward. So, I would say we'll kind of take that, like I said. Hopefully we can get him back here by the end of the year, but we'll see what happens with that.
I think the one guy you didn't touch on in your opening statement was Chase Young.
Yeah. He just had an illness today. There's been a bug going around, and Chase caught it. So fortunately for us, he caught it in the beginning of the week here, much like happened last week with Alvin, quite frankly. And so we just kind of gave Chase a day off from an illness standpoint. He was feeling lousy the last couple of days. So hopefully he'll clear up and be back hopefully tomorrow.
If Alvin can't go, Kendra becomes the featured guy?
Yeah, I mean, listen, as I've said multiple times, Kendra has really done a great job in these last couple of weeks for a small sample size. If Alvin doesn't play, that sample size is going to get larger. But it's going to have to be a committee approach. Jamal's going to have to step up. The other running backs are going to have to step up. The receivers, everybody. It's going to have to be a committee effort, no different than when Taysom went down or Derek's gone down or Rashid or Olave. And all those guys have to step up. But certainly Kendra is going to have to be a big part of that committee.
What do you like about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, bringing him in, signing him?
Yeah, listen, I've always been a fan. I loved him back when he was back at LSU. Studied him, a lot coming out. He was high on our draft boards. Just always kind of kept an eye on him. And so we had the opportunity when they waived him the other day to get him on the practice squad. He's just a guy. I know it looks like it's very coincidental with Alvin. It really had nothing to do with that. We just wanted a player to get into the building, really good player that we've always had an eye on. And so I think we probably have an extra eye on him because he's a hometown guy or a local guy. But have had great conversation with him the last couple of days. I'm excited for him, excited for the opportunity. I know he's happy to be home.
Is there a chance that you see him elevated this weekend?
Well, under the circumstances where everything's on the table there, so whether or not we dress, 3 backs, 4 backs, we'll have to kind of see how we end up playing the game day roster if Alvin's unable to go. So I would say, that's why we tried to get him here at the beginning of the week, try to get him caught up to speed, certainly on the mental. He looked like physically he had a great day today, just out there already catching kickoffs and running routes and running. Did a great job running the ball, like all those things. So that all looked good. So the challenge for any new guy that comes into the system, doesn't matter who it is going to be the mental part. How quickly he can get caught up, and can he do something for us on game day? And so we'll certainly keep that option open for sure.
What were some of the things he seemed to learn from his first 3?
Yeah, listen, I think he learned a lot of things. The one thing I saw, JD, was that the thing that probably impressed me the most of that whole performance today was probably that 2-minute drill. I really liked how he, under the pressure, he performed, and I didn't see a sense of panic at all. I thought the last 3 games he was out there, like any rookie quarterback, there was a little bit of, some times where he looked a little panicky. I saw him much more relaxed. I saw him much more in control. I saw a lot more leadership out of him. And so that was the impressive part. Now, maybe coming off the bench with nothing to lose, kind of running around and gunslinging, but that's kind of been his thing, right? That's what's made him the guy that he is. It's kind of been his MO, his whole career. So hopefully now with when he knows he's preparing today, so he took all the reps today with the ones, and we're going to kind of get him ready to go if Derek can't. So
Derek can't practice yet with his hand. How does that affect the concussion protocol? Is he all good there?
Yeah, he's going to have to go through a practice. He's going to have to go before he gets cleared to play in a game. He's going to have to go through a practice. That's the way that is. So he's at the final stage. Once he goes through a practice, then he can get. That's the final step, Matt.
And has he tried throwing it? Like, is he able to pump it out?
He's able to do everything with his right hand. So it's a matter of the function of his left hand. And listen, there's been plenty of other quarterbacks that have played with similar injuries. I've mentioned a couple in here before, but there's been many quarterbacks, and it just becomes down to a functionality. Can you protect it? Can he function? Can he protect himself? And that's why when I say we're not going to put him out there in harm's way. I heard somebody say the other day, why would we try to bring Derek back? Well, I mean, listen, when I took over, we gave everybody a clean slate, right? And so, that's everybody. It's all inclusive. That's Cam Jordan, it's DeMario, it's Alvin, it's Derek, it's a quarterback. And since I've taken over, Derek started 4 games. We're 3-1 in those games. He's got a 68% completion percentage. He's thrown 6 touchdowns. He's got 1 interception. He's only taken 2 sacks. His quarterback rating is over 103. And so why would I play him? I think it's kind of obvious why we would play him. But others don't feel the same. That's fine. That's their opinion. And that's a beautiful thing about this game. But I love the fact that he is fighting every day to come in here, rehabbing his butt off, and he comes in here every day with the intent of getting back out there. And so I think there's a lot to be said for that, especially at this point of the year.
The sack numbers the sack numbers are pretty different without Derek. And is that something just having young quarterbacks and not, or is it something you're seeing from the offensive line?
Absolutely. I mean, even if you look at Derek when he first got here, he's done significantly better as well. And so I think that a lot of it has to do with the timing. In Jake's defense, some of those sacks the other day in the first half were protection related. They weren't all on Jake. But I think there's some times when, I think some of the best veteran quarterbacks that we've all ever seen, right, are going through the progression, able to get the ball out quicker when the first progression's not there. The second, they're able to go through the progression so much faster. And so that's a little bit of some of the young quarterbacks' challenge sometimes, is just getting through the progression quicker, getting the ball out and not holding it. There were some times where Jake could have done that the other day in the first half where I felt we took at least 2 unnecessary sacks there. So that's the challenge.
Can you get into just like what Derek needs to show with this? Like, is it a mobility thing? Is it like feeling comfortable that it's not going to re-injure?
Yeah, well, the first thing is to be able to protect himself, right? I go to the ground. I could do, I could get on the ground and push it myself. Just the strength, the grip, all those things. And so he's come a long way with all those things, and we just want to make sure when we go out there, we can protect the spot. That's not the issue. It's really just more of a function standpoint at this point. So once he gets that, and once we feel like he can protect himself and he can function in the offense, and we're not going to be limited in what we're doing, then that's going to be the key.
So long story short, yes, the hand's going to get in the way of him passing concussion protocol, more or less.
Yeah, so we would want him to practice anyway. So I think they work hand in hand. But the answer is yes. Technically, yes. He wouldn't be able just to go out there and just go out and suit up for a game without a practice. But we wouldn't want him to do that anyway, because we want to take him through all the progression and the necessary steps to make sure he can protect himself, get through all that stuff.
And Coach, just to be clear,
Yeah.
Just for clarity, Spencer Rattler will start against Green
If
Bay,
Derek Carr's unable to start,
if he's unable to
then Spencer Rattler will be the starting quarterback. Yes.
Functionality, 2 different things in terms of shotgun and under center, or is it all kind
Yeah,
of?
I would say absolutely, because you have to. Most people may or may not understand with a right-handed quarterback, usually your left hand, your bottom hand under center, and so that's very, very important, no question. Now, there's been some times Justin Herbert comes to mind, Josh Allen comes to mind, where they played pretty much the entire game in shotgun, just like every high school in America is doing right now, and probably half the colleges. But so we could function under an entire game in the shotgun. That's not necessarily the issue. The issue is more the things I mentioned last game.
You talked about Clyde Edwards-Helaire from mentally getting the game, but I mean, he's been public about his own mental battles. Have you seen a little bit of a mental relief from the short time you've known him already, being back in this state, given what he's had to deal with mentally? Yeah,
I can just speak for the last couple of days that he's been here. He's been all smiles. One of the first things he said to me was, Coach Riz, I'm just happy to be home. It's a great opportunity for me. I think, he's certainly, all that's been documented, and I got a lot of respect for Clyde as a person and a player. I'm happy. I'm certainly glad we got him. And you never know. Sometimes a change of scenery for somebody we've all seen it before. Change of scenery sometimes ignites a guy and gives him a little extra motivation and can help anybody, can help players, coaches, everybody.
Sorry, just trying to clarify based on what Ross asked too. If Derek can't go, but operating on the assumption that like he most likely can, or is it?
Matt, are you trying to say that I wasn't clear? Are you trying to
A little bit.
So, I don't know how else to say it. If Derek Carr doesn't start the game, Spencer will. I don't know if I can say it any more clearly than that. But that's
just like the chances of Derek actually.
Oh, now you want me to put chances on it. I know I'm an Italian from Jersey, but I'm not an odds maker.
Yeah.
So now
This
people
week.
are confused.
I'm sorry?
It sounded like you volunteered that Derek is not playing this week and Rattler's gonna start. That's what it sounded to us like.
Okay, if that came out like that, I said, if Derek Carr doesn't play this week, Spencer Rattler will be the starting quarterback.
Since you were clearing things up, I know you just said hand injury. Like, is there any more you can tell us? Like, is it multiple fractures in this hand?
Yeah, I'd rather not get into all the detail. I just don't think that's fair to just to Derek for me to stand up here and explain every last detail of the injury. That's with anybody, though. I'm not just saying
I
that.
want to show us a diagram, exactly.
I'll get a PowerPoint slide up here tomorrow, and I'll get the pointer out and show the exact spots. I'm not going to go down that road.
I know it's obviously very early in it, but with Chris coming back to practice days, is there a chance he could go on Monday?
I mean, I would say this week's probably doubtful, realistically. This is his first day back, right? So we're going to get him back into the swing of things and really just kind of do a little bit more every day. I'm just so happy for the person, for Chris, that here he is. He got a full, he got the thumbs up, can resume football activities. And honestly, we're going to leave that up to Chris. We're going to see where he is, how he feels every day, make sure there's no setbacks. But I'm going to say that he would play Monday night would be a little bit aggressive.
Is there anything with like the kicking or anything that you can do to prepare for going up there where it's going to be cold and windy and maybe snowy?
Yeah, I was a little bit happy. It got a little windy out there. It turned into it started getting warmer. I was pissed off when the sun came out. But I was hoping it was going to be cloudy and windy all day. It's hard, Nick. I've done before because I was in Miami for 10 years and now here for 6. I've done everything from, we literally put the footballs in a freezer, try to, get them frozen, if it's going to be below freezing. We've done that. We brought them right out of the old ice box and into practice for the quarterbacks and the kickers because the balls really get hardened when it's below freezing. So it's like it really is. It's a big difference. There are a lot both for grip and for kicking and punting and actually for catching. And so I've done that, but usually if it's not below freezing, they thaw out pretty quick. So you got to hurry, run them out of the freezer and into the session. But other than that, with the wind and just getting outside and on the grass, we don't kick on grass a lot, so that's a factor, right? We don't play many grass games. We don't play a lot of outdoor games. So just getting out there and the footing is a big deal. You watch the last few teams that have gone up there. If you really watch through the San Fran game and you watch through the Miami Dolphins game and some other opponents, Houston, a lot of guys on the ground, having the right cleats on. I talked to our team about that today, having the right shoes on. There's a lot of slipping and sliding going on there. It's going to be something to keep an eye on.
What do you like about what Foster has done with the team this year, Foster Moreau?
Yeah, I think one of the things that goes probably under the radar with Foster is his leadership. That's number one. He's really a phenomenal leader. The thing I love about Foster too is same guy every day. He's that intense, no nonsense, And when I say that, I mean from a football standpoint. Now, if you get him outside the building, he's a clown in a good way. He's a jokester, and we're always poking fun at each other. But when he's in the building, he's really, really serious. He's great for the young players, and he's one of those epitome of the hard work that he's putting in is kind of paying off. It's been mentioned in here. Our tight ends have been a big deal, a big part of our success lately on offense. They've been a huge part of that. And I love his leadership. I love his work ethic. I love how he practices. I love how he prepares. You'd love to have 53 Fosters on the roster.
For Chris, you gave such a passionate defense of Derek wanting to see him. Is it important to you to see Chris if he can go? I mean, is it given the concussion history?
I think under the circumstances with Chris, like I said earlier, I believe in putting that back up to Chris, and let's see how he feels. Today was his first practice in a long time. 7, 8 weeks, whatever the number is, and first practice back. So let's kind of get a sample size first, and let's see how he's feeling, and make sure he's got no setbacks with the football activities, and kind of take it from there. It would be a heck of a deal. I'm proud that he's even back out here, and I'm happy for him. But let's just see how it goes. I don't want to put the cart before the horse on that one.
And Alvin, he's so close to 1,000 yards for the first time in his career rushing, and now he has this. How do you
Listen, there's no one who wants him to get him more than me. At the same time, we're certainly going to do the right thing by him. I know it's a goal that he wants to accomplish. It's a goal that I want him to accomplish. But let's hopefully we get him back here towards the end, and we can get him that goal.
On the Packers, could you comment on what you've made of Josh Jacobs' transition to that team, and in particular, what about his running style makes him maybe difficult to tackle? You guys have to pay attention to.
Well, I think his success has been eye-opening. He's really done a great job. Everybody thought when they lost Aaron Jones they were going to and here they go. He comes in and he's just doing a phenomenal job. I think his usage, the way they use him, the way Matt uses him in the offense is really impressive. He can run many different types of plays. He's not just a downhill runner. He gets in the open field and he makes people miss. And so he's a big challenge. I mean, he's playing at such a high level right now. He's playing as one of the best backs in the league. And so, and then when you look at what he's done in their home games, it's even more more impressive. They really get him going. He's one of those guys that get going early in the game. He gets his touches, and you look what he did in Seattle the other day. They started the game off, and he just kind of controlled the game. And that's what he does, the run after catch, the yards after contact. That's really the most maybe impressive thing about him. Rarely does the one guy alone or the first guy there get him on the ground. He's running through contact. That's going to be a huge part of this game. We've done a better job of that the last couple of weeks, and we need to continue, to have that, that success in stopping the run, because that's really, right now, their offense is just feeding off of him, and I mean, it's impressive.
The yards after contact seems to stand out, and do you have any sense of why he's been so good in that area?
Well, he's a really strong, powerful runner. Even if you look back to his college days, studying him coming out of college, he was a similar thing. He's not a guy you're going to be able to arm tackle. He's a guy you're going to have multiple hats to the ball. We're going to have to do a great job with our swarm. We're going to have to run into the football, the pursuit, because, like I said, if he's going through the line of scrimmage and you're just trying to reach out and tackle him, you're not getting that guy on the ground. You need to make sure our tackling, our wrap, all those things, and that's going to be a challenge with the weather too.
How different is this Packers team from the one y'all faced in Week 3 last year?
Yeah, I actually made a joke today. That game seems like it was about 6 years ago, and it was just last year up there at the beginning of the season. I think they're a confident group right now. The quarterback's playing at a high level. I just mentioned Josh Jacobs playing at a high level. Their offensive weapons are all of them, tight ends, receivers, everybody's contributing. So they really got it going right now offensively. They made a change with Jeff Hafley on the defense. I feel like their defensive front is really playing well. It's really been the strength of their team. And then when they've had to make teams throw the ball, Xavier McKinney's leading the league in interceptions, if I'm not mistaken. And so they're really just getting a team effort. Their special teams have gotten better. They added Brandon McManus as a kicker. Daniel Whelan is having a really good year. Both the returners are good. So you look at their team, there's not a lot of holes. There's not a lot of weaknesses. And so we're going to have to play really well in all three phases. So to Matt's credit and to their, the new organization's credit, they've put together a heck of a roster, and they got it going right now. So this is certainly going to be a challenge.
So I'm asking you about a guy who hasn't played a down of NFL football, but have you seen Charlie Smith continue to kind of develop his
Am I allowed to make fun of your Dodgers hats? Since I'm a Yankees fan, is that like a shot at me, Luke? Is that a shot at me? So listen, Charlie Smith, first of all, I'm really, really happy we kept Charlie Smith on our practice squad. I know you guys don't get a chance to see it often, at the time you guys are at practice, but here's a guy that's gotten bigger, stronger, developed, and so I'm really, really happy, and I'm excited for his future because I really believe he's got a bright future. A lot of the things you guys saw in training camp and the preseason games and all that, he's just continues to work. You wish you could get him. You wish there was like a developmental league. There's a guy that you wish he could go play in like the NFL had a developmental league because he's like the prototypical guy. I've used Brandon Aubrey as an example with him before. It took Brandon Aubrey a couple of years, as a guy that was transitioning from soccer, and now look at the success he's having. And Charlie's kind of following that same path. And so I'm really, really excited about Charlie. I'm really excited about his future. You guys saw the talent. It's just a matter of him kind of, so I really feel like him going through the calendar year, OTAs, training camp, and now a full season, and now get him in an off season. I'm really excited to see what that looks like, come full circle, starting at the end or starting next year. But I think he's got a really, really bright future.
To what do you attribute the sort of downturn of takeaways, and how do you go about addressing that?
Yeah, we're making a huge emphasis about that this week because, we threw a stat out at our team today. Matt LaFleur, since he's been the head coach of the Packers, they're 24-0 at home when they've won the turnover battle. So I don't know if there's a bigger stat to look at this week than that stat. And so we're making a huge emphasis this week on not only taking care of the ball, but obviously creating some takeaways. Sometimes they come in bunches. We've all heard that before. We had a bunch in the beginning of the season. I think for a little bit while we were leading the league in interceptions. We were kind of taking the ball away. We've had some misfortune. There's been some balls on the ground that we haven't gotten. There's been some balls that we've gotten our hands on that we haven't come down with. And so I think we got to be opportunistic here these last few weeks because being +1 for the season, we certainly want to be better than that. But I really believe now we're practicing the heck out of it. And we're drilling it. And we're emphasizing it, so hopefully they start coming in bunches again.
Joe Woods would talk about the mentality that you have to generate turnovers, things like that. But I imagine there's also some, you mentioned opportunistic. I mean, like when the chances are there, drilling how to kind of take advantage of that. Is that something you can really work on, or is that like something that has to work out?
I think there's aspects of it you can work on. You're certainly not going to roll the ball on the ground and have a pie. So individually, there's ways we want to scoop the ball. There's ways we want to recover the ball. We had the opportunity the other day in the game against Washington where Jaden Daniels fumbles one down there inside the 5, and the ball's on the ground, and they come back up with the ball. That would have been huge. So things like that. Obviously, the interceptions are a lot easier to practice than the fumble part of it. But getting the ball out, we can certainly practice from the runners. And then high pointing the ball, catching the ball drills, we can certainly practice. So the things that are safe to practice where we're not putting guys in harm's way, we emphasize every day with our defensive backs, our D-line, our linebackers, everybody. Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, you got it. And by the way, we got Bellinger.